अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण। नमस्ते नमस्ते। भगवद्गीता श्रीमद् भगवद्गीता श्लोक 67, Chapter 2, Sloka 67. इंद्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि। Throughout Bhagavad Gita, we can find emphasis on Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha. Disciplining of mind and the senses. In this section of chapter 2 also, Bhagavan has dedicated several shlokas to convey the importance of Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha. In fact, the main topic under discussion is Sthitaprajna Lakshanan. Bhagavan is describing a Sthitaprajna. Even while describing the Sthitaprajna, Bhagavan finds opportunity to discuss Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha. Because without disciplined mind and senses, one can never become Sthitaprajna. Yat manaha Bhagavan is describing a mind, an undisciplined mind. Later on, Bhagavan himself will say that the mind itself acts as friend as well as enemy. If the mind is disciplined, it functions as a friend, it serves as a friend. Mind is a tool for Atmajnana. Manasai Vedamaptavyam. Knowledge takes place in the mind. Therefore, a seeker should train the mind, discipline the mind, and make use of the mind as a tool for self-knowledge. But then there is another type of mind. It is not disciplined. When the mind is not disciplined, it follows the senses. Charatam indriyanam anuvidhiyate. The mind follows the senses that are themselves turbulent. The senses are turbulent. The senses are impulsive, and the mind follows the senses. Tadasya harati prajnam. That kind of a mind, it does not serve any purpose in the spiritual pursuit. Instead, such a mind is detrimental to one's Atmajnana, detrimental to self-realization. Asya prajnam harati. It takes away the knowledge. It takes away the wisdom. Even if the spiritual wisdom has started taking place in one's mind, such a mind destroys it. Vayurnavamivambhasi. Just like the wind. Navam iva. As the wind diverts a boat. Navam ambhasi. A boat in a water. How the wind, the cyclone diverts and finally capsizes a boat. In the same manner, an undisciplined mind, a mind that is not disciplined, destroys the knowledge. Shloka 68. Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyaha tasya prajna pratisthita. Now, Bhagavan concludes the discussion on Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha that was contextually introduced. He Mahabaho, Arjuna is being addressed. O Mahabahu, one with mighty arms, Tasmat yasya indriyani indriyarthebhyah sarvashah nigrihitani, whose senses are restrained. Yasya indriyani nigrihitani, whose senses are restrained from the sense objects. Indriyarthebhyah, a man with restrained senses and restrained mind, he is capable of becoming a sthita prajna. Tasya prajna pratisthita, he gets established in knowledge. His knowledge gets established. His knowledge becomes steady and he becomes a sthita prajna. Now Bhagavan continues the characteristics of sthita prajna, contrasting a sthita prajna with an ignorant person. A sthita prajna is compared and contrasted with a man of ignorance. There are nocturnal animals. For the nocturnal animals, our day is like night because they cannot see during daytime. They cannot see in the bright light. That is why they don't move around during daytime. Even when there is bright sun, they are not able to see anything. It is the nature of their eyes. Their eyes are devised in such a way that they cannot see during daytime. Whereas during night, they are able to see and they roam around. They conduct all their activities during night. Such animals are called nocturnal animals. In Sanskrit, they are called Naktancharaha. Naktam means night. Charaha, those who move around during night. They are called Naktam Charaha. Bhagavan compares an ajnani to Naktam Chara, to the nocturnal animals. Because they are not awake to the absolute truth. Even though the absolute truth is ever shining like daylight, the Atma is always shining. Paramatma is always shining because The nature of Paramatma is the consciousness which is ever effulgent, yet the ignorant ones are not even aware of the presence of the Atma. Therefore, Bhagavan compares them to nocturnal animals. They are not aware of the brightest of daylight, the daylight of Atma, the daylight of non-duality. Instead, they are awake during the night. The night is the duality, the anatma, the universe which is external to the self is compared to the night because it is a product of ignorance. And Ajnani attributes reality to the world. That is unreal in truth. Whereas a Jnani is aware of the unreality of the universe. He does not attribute reality to the universe because he is aware that the universe is a modification of Maya, an effect of Maya. Therefore, it's not real. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam. We will read the shloka. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam. Tasyan jagarti sanyami. Yasyan jagrati bhutani. Sa nisha pashyato munehe. Ya sarvabhutanam nisha. The night of all other beings. Sarvabhutanam refers to all beings in general. Generally, people are ignorant of the absolute truth. Therefore, all beings refer to the ignorant ones. The people who are ignorant of the Brahman. For them, Nisha, the Brahman is like night because they are not aware of the Brahman. They are not aware of the absolute reality. Just like the daylight, the daytime is night for nocturnal animals. Tasyan jagarti sanyami. A sanyami, a jnani. The word sanyami literally means one who has sanyama. Sanyama means restraint. He has restraint over his mind and senses. And by this word, Krishna is intending a jnani. Because without sanyama, one cannot become jnani. Therefore, a jnani has to be a sanyami. A jnani has to be a person with restraint over his mind and senses. Sanyami tasyam jagarti. A jnani is awake. He is awake to the absolute reality. He is awake to the Paramatma as the only reality, as the all-pervasive reality. Therefore, for a jnani, Brahman is like daylight. Brahman is as evident like the daylight. Yasyam jagrati bhutani, all the other beings, referring to the ignorant ones, the ajnanis, yasyam jagrati, to which they are awake. The ajnani is awake to the world of duality. Which is mithya. The Vedanta reveals that the whole universe consisting of duality, consisting of names and forms, is mithya. But an ajnani attributes absolute reality to the universe of duality. In fact, an ajnani does not see any other reality. He sees only one reality, that is the dualistic universe. This world is real. Ayam lokaha nasti paraha. There is nothing greater than this universe. There cannot be a greater reality. He is not awake to a higher reality. Such a person is ajnani. Whereas sa nisha pashyato munehe, the dualistic universe is like night, nisha, for a jnani. Pashyato munehe nisha. It is night for a jnani. A jnani is called pashyato munehe. A jnani who sees the truth. For him, the dualistic universe is like nisha, like night. Shloka 70. Apuryamanamatala samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantimapnoti na kamakami. This is another beautiful shloka. A jnani is compared to an ocean. One can draw many similarities with the ocean. An ocean never suffers the scarcity of water. It never dries up. Because it has perennial supply of water from all directions. We can see the rivers drying up. We can see ponds and wells drying up because they have only limited water. Whereas an ocean never dries up. It is ever full with water. Similarly, a jnani, he never suffers the scarcity of happiness. Because he has discovered the source of happiness within himself. Therefore, he has perennial supply of happiness. Apuryamanam samudram. A samudra. Samudra means ocean, sea. and it is apuryamanam. It is ever full, eternally full. Achala pratishtham. It is another similarity. Achala pratishtham. An ocean is steadily established in itself. Achala pratishtha yasya saha achala pratishtha. It is steadily established. There are so many objects entering the ocean, so many ships, so many boats. They keep moving in the ocean. So many things fall into the ocean. Water enters from various directions into the ocean. And within the ocean, there are so many creatures like sharks, whales, and so on and so on. Yet, the ocean remains undisturbed. Likewise, a jnani steadily establishes himself in knowledge and remains undisturbed. Samudram apah pravishanti. Water enters from various directions. Apaha, waters, in the form of various rivers. The water enters the ocean. They enter into the ocean, and even when they enter into the ocean, they don't disturb the ocean. The ocean does not get disturbed because of the flow of water from various directions. If any small water body, if water enters a small water body, it can overflow and get disturbed. But it does not happen with the ocean. It remains undisturbed. Even when gallons of water enters from various directions. In fact, every river joins the ocean, whether it is Ganga or Yamuna or Brahmaputra, Kaveri, all rivers, they flow into the same ocean. Yet, it does not get disturbed. Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve. Likewise, Tadvat, just like the ocean, yam kamaha pravishanti. All kamas. The word kama can be understood in two ways. One meaning of the word kama, desire. All desires enter into a jnani. This is an interpretation. All desires enter into a jnani without disturbing him. No desires disturb him. Instead, the desires disappear. Just like the ocean water disappears into the ocean. The river waters disappear into the ocean. You cannot see. Once they enter, you don't see the water separately. They just merge with the ocean. Likewise, all the desire disappear into a jnani. And they lose the ability to disturb him. It is one interpretation. There is another interpretation also. Kama means object of desire. A desirable object. A jnani perceives the objects. The perception of the objects continue for a jnani also. But unlike an ajnani, a jnani does not get disturbed by the perception of the objects. He remains undisturbed even in front of any desirable object. He is free from desires, free from greed, free from craving. Therefore, no object has the ability to tempt him. Kamaha sarve kamaha yam pravishanti. All kamas, all desires, or all objects of desire enter him without disturbing him. He perceives all the objects without getting disturbed. It is the characteristic of a jnani. Sa shantimapnoti. He attains shanti. Such a jnani enjoys peace. One cannot be peaceful when there are desires. Desires and peace can never coexist. If you want to lose peace of mind, what you need is desires. When the mind is free from desires, it enjoys peace. A jnani's mind is absolutely free from desires. Therefore, a jnani enjoys absolute peace. Na kama kami. Kamakami shantim na apnoti. One with the desires. Kamakami means a man of desires. One who cherishes desires. I want this, I want that. Then he cannot enjoy. he cannot enjoy peace. He will not have peace of mind. Therefore, the means to attain peace of mind is to be free from desires. And one can be totally free from desires only when he has discovered absolute happiness, absolute completeness within oneself. Discovering completeness within oneself is called jnana. Self-knowledge is the process of finding completeness within oneself. Therefore, self-knowledge is the way to find absolute peace. Next sloka, sloka 71. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumascharati nisprahaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadhigacchati. Further explanation of a sthita prajna. Yaha puman, an individual. Puman. Puman means man. Man refers to human beings in general. Any human being sarvan kaman vihaya, he becomes free from all desires by the force of self-knowledge. Nisprahaha charati, he is nisprahaha, free from desires. Charati, despite being free from desires, he continues to live and he continues to interact with the world. He conducts all his activities. He performs all transactions. He speaks, he eats, he works, but without desires. Nirmamo nirahankaraha. Also nirmamaha and nirahankaraha. Ahankara and mamakara. Ahankara means I identification. This is me. Identification with the body. Identification with the mind. I am Mr. So and so. I am intelligent, etc. It is ahankara. A jnani is free from ahankara because he does not identify with the limited self. He does not identify with the body and mind. Instead, he has owned up the identification with the Atma, with the all-pervasive consciousness. And nirmamaha, he is free from mama, mine identification. This is mine. He is free from the sense of possession. Nirmamo nirahankaraha, free from I and mine. Sashanti madhigacchati, he attains shanti, he attains peace. Shloka 72. Esha brahmi sthitif partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamanta kalepi brahma nirvana mricchati. With this shloka, Paramatma concludes the characteristics of a sthita prajna. Also, he concludes the chapter. He Partha, O Arjuna, Esha Brahmi Sthitihi. Esha, this, what has been explained so far, Brahmi Sthitihi, what has been explained so far is self-knowledge. And the self-knowledge is Brahmi Sthitihi, abidance in Brahman. Abiding as Brahman. We abide in the body and the mind. When somebody asks who you are, we identify ourselves as the body and the mind with a particular name and a particular form. Nama Rupa. We identify with the given Nama Rupa. All our identities carry our Nama Rupa, name and form. Aadhaar card, voter ID, passport, everything is Nama Rupa. And we think it is our true identity. Therefore, we identify with the limited individuality and we abide in such an identity. Whereas the self-knowledge, is in the form of abidance in the identity of Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. It involves understanding our true identity and owning up our true identity. Reclaiming our true identity as Brahman. It is called Brahmi Sthitihi. Abiding in Brahman. Abiding in the true identity. Nainam prapya vimuhyati. One might get a question. If I get self-knowledge, will the self-knowledge fade away after some time? Will I become ignorant once again? Bhagavan says, never. If you get self-knowledge, you are free from ignorance and free from delusion forever. Because the ignorance, if it is removed once, it cannot surface once again. Therefore, Nainam prapya vimuhyati. Having accomplished the Atma Jnana, na vimuhyati. One does not get into ignorance once again. One does not get deluded regarding the self once again. Sthitvasyam antakalepi brahma nirvana mrichati. Asyam antakale api sthitva. Even if one accomplishes self-knowledge, antakale, during the fag end of one's life, in old age, even in old age, one can get Brahmajnana. Brahmajnana is possible at any point of life. Some people may get it young, and some people may get it when they are old. Quite a few people get interested in Vedanta in old age, at the age of 70 or 80. That is why mostly the Vedanta students are senior citizen. Bhagavan does not want to disappoint the senior citizen and the super senior citizen. He is encouraging the senior and super senior citizen to pursue Vedanta. Therefore he says, Asyam antakale api sthitva. Even in old age, if you get this knowledge and if you abide in this knowledge, Brahma nirvana mrichati. one gets Brahma Nirvana, one gets oneness with the Brahman, one gets united with the Brahman, means one gets moksha. So even in old age, one can get moksha. Even if one starts Vedanta late in one's life, one can get moksha. That means if one starts early in one's life, one will definitely get moksha. Moksha is very much assured. Knowledge leads to moksha. This cannot be doubted. Therefore, it is worth pursuing self-knowledge. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.